Hallo Leute, guten Abend, ich bin der Ben und that's really all the German that I got at this point. Today, as I'm recording this, is December 1st, which marks the beginning of my little retaking German challenge with my friend Mr. Salsa. He's got a Spanish language channel all about language learning that I'll link down below if you're curious and don't already know about him. Anyway, we were talking a couple of months ago and we got onto the topic of German, which is a language that we've both studied in the past. And we both expressed interest in picking up the language again. And so I said, okay, what if we do a little challenge together? We both take up the language again and see what happens in a couple of months. And then with January and the new year being so big for language learners around the world, it made a lot of sense to kind of make it an open challenge for all of you, which is why I'm making this video. We're both inviting you two to a little bit of a language learning challenge at the beginning of 2025 to start off on the right foot. We're both taking up a language that we've studied before, but you can start with a new one if you want, or just redouble your efforts in the one that you're currently studying, whatever works for you. The core part of this challenge is that we're both tracking our time and following each other's progress with the Refold app, which you can now download with the link in the description below. It's now in open beta, and we're really excited to see what you think. We've been working on it and testing it for a long time, and now is the time for a lot of people just to try it and see what they think. We're really trying to focus in on this idea of immersing together and language learning together, since sitting in your room and mining sentences isn't really the most social thing in the world, and so adding in friends and leaderboards can make it feel a little bit more like you're part of a learning community, which is why we're doing this challenge. So if you want to take part, get the app in the description below and start tracking today. I'll talk a little bit more about the rules, very loose use of the term there, in a minute here. Like I mentioned before, I'm picking up German again, which is a language that I studied back in high school. And I actually stuck with it for quite a while and did pass the B2 exam in like 2017, I think. I pretty much haven't touched the language since then, so it's been like 6-7 years since I've really spent time with German. And so for the first couple weeks, I'm just focused on getting my feet under me again. I set up my habits in the app to focus on that goal. I'm speedrunning the Refold DE1K deck, which has been great so far. I'm doing 20 new words per day and suspending everything that I already know. It's only been 6 days that I've been learning it, and I've already gotten through 30% of the deck, so 300 cards. The other daily activities I've been doing is just trying to get exposure to German again through media that I already know quite well, which is the Avatar series and Harry Potter. I'm very easily able to follow the story and hear most things because I do know the basic vocabulary, and I obviously know the story quite well. I'm listening to the audiobook and reading along, which has been really quite easy and really fun because the narrator makes it really engaging, and I know most of the words, just a couple of like nouns and verbs that I don't know, but I can almost always guess through context, and also just because I know the story really, really well. That's all that I'm doing right now, and I've already set up my habits in the app to make sure that I just focus on doing that every single day. I've got plenty of other plans of things that I'm going to try doing in the next coming weeks, but I'll let future Ben talk about that. Hey, thanks past Ben. I like your shirt, by the way. It looks good. So I've been doing my German thing for about, I think, 2 weeks now, and maybe like 15 days. I'm not exactly positive. And it's been going really, really well. Just as a bit of an update, I'm having a lot of fun. I've tweaked a couple of things, mostly because the subtitles on Avatar that I was watching don't match and it was really bothering me. So I've mostly been doing everything free flow now, and I'm realizing that it's actually kind of totally fine. I don't understand absolutely everything, but since I know these stories so well, I'm following along just fine and hearing everything. And I've figured out my next plan. So for the time being, I'm going to continue with doing mostly free flow with these stories that I know well, which is Harry Potter and Avatar: The Last Airbender in German, as well as finishing the DE1K, the German vocab deck that we have, because I'm already about like 700 cards in, because I know most of them, which has been really rewarding, first off, just to come across word after word that I know, but it's also been great to review those words and also to see new words that I don't know. So I'm going to finish that first, try to finish Avatar, and probably get through the first Harry Potter book. And then I'm going to jump into some other things. Specifically, I want to get into sentence mining on a show that I failed with many years ago. Back when I was learning German in high school, I tried to watch a TV show, and it didn't go well. I was probably better at that point with my German because I was doing it more regularly, but I didn't have the skills that I have now about immersion learning and how to watch a TV show and that sort of thing. And so I want to go back to that show that I gave up with after like a day or two and show it who's boss. I'm going to watch the show, sentence mine, and understand things using my new skills. And that's going to be my primary focus once I get out of this phase of the DE1K and Avatar. But I'm also going to be continuing with audiobooks because that's been really fun, and add in some like streams and maybe some German YouTube, since I think that's going to be pretty interesting. Overall, I'm enjoying this German challenge way more than I thought I would because I'm already pretty good in air quotes. I'm still way better at Czech and definitely at Spanish, but it's really nice to come to a new language and not really feel like a beginner. I'm able to do things, hear words, understand stuff, pick up new words just from listening, that kind of thing, very easily. It's super rewarding. And something that I wrote down in my notes for this is that it's a lot easier to start when you already have a base. And that's why we focus a lot on learning basic vocab, some basic grammar, some things to get you started with the language so that you can jump in and start to find things, notice things, hear things. And then the other thing that we talk about and focus on is fun. Doing the things that make you want to continue with the language. When I'm going through my day, I want to do things in German. I want to continue the TV show. I want to put something on in German because it's engaging and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I also understand that I'm going to have to keep pushing myself to make sure that that fun stays around and doesn't just die after another week or two. But that is a fundamental piece of sticking with it long term, is enjoying the process. If you hate doing your language learning and immersion, you're probably not going to continue with it. And if you check my stats in the Refold app, you can actually see that reflected in how my time has been going up and up every day. Not necessarily because I have more time, but because I want to fit more things in and I'm finding places, oh, I can do some here, I can do some more German here. And so I'm hoping that it's going to keep going up and up and up as I go further into this challenge. Anyway, to finish out this video, I'm going to kick it over to Future Ben, so I'll see you then. Hi! As you can see, I am not where I normally film, and so things are a little bit janky. I'm using an old selfie stick that I found in my parents' house, but I want to talk about sort of the end of this German challenge I've been doing for December, because now it's the day after Christmas, so it's the 26th, and I've finished the 1K deck a while ago, and I'm almost done with the series that I was watching in German, and I've even started a new audiobook. I want to give a little update on what's going on and what I'm going into January with for German and how I'm feeling about that. So, like I said in the last clip, I was wanting to do more and more German, and I probably could, but as I'm here on the holidays, I'm not trying to do that much immersion, give myself a break, relax a little bit, which has been a little bit hard for me, actually. I will say I definitely have felt that I want to keep going. I want to keep hitting my lofty goals for myself, but especially yesterday, I forced myself to sort of take it easy. I did end up being able to watch a couple episodes of Avatar in German in the evening, but like my Czech, I didn't get close to my full goal, which I haven't missed a day in a very, very long time. It wasn't like I did nothing, but it was a nice change to be like, you know what? It's okay to not always hit your lofty goals and just do the bare minimum, do something fun, and come back with more focus and maybe vigor is a good word the next day. And I think that's an approach that I'm taking with my German as well, because I haven't been able to do the bigger things like sentence mining and other stuff, but I'm getting really excited about it. And I think that's what's important. For me at least, because I've been doing this whole language learning thing for so long and for so consistently now, that sometimes I miss a little bit of the magic of it, the fun, the hobby part. And so that's what I really want to drive home. The last message that I want to give to you is in 2025 and for your own language goals is to find the fun in it again, because that's where it really pushes you to want to keep going. We have this quote on the site that we've had for quite a while that's, once you can have fun in a language, you never want to stop. And I think that's really important, because that is a big reason why I keep coming back to language learning every single day, and I don't plan to stop, is because I've found something that is really fun and engaging to me, but also helps me achieve these other personal goals that I have. I want you to really think about what you enjoy and what you find fun in language learning for this year, and try to make that your goal. Yes, it should include things that are going to push your abilities forward, right? You can't just eat all your dessert. Making a great meal that includes dessert and that you enjoy eating and potentially making, if you're a chef in this weird metaphor, is a really good recipe for success. And that's what I'm definitely going to be doing with German, is I'm going to be focusing on setting up the habits that are both engaging and fun to me, but also we're going to push my abilities forward and find a sweet spot between all the different things that I want to do in the language in order to make good progress. That's what you're going to see in the Refold app. If you download it and look at my German activities, you're going to be seeing a lot of those activities that I both enjoy, but also push me forward. Play around with it, have fun with it, and see what works for you, what doesn't. Maybe switch up the different content. Actually, I was just talking to Mr. Salas a couple of days ago. He's also doing this German challenge. If you want to watch it, his perspective in Spanish, check out his channel. But we were chatting, and he said, "Oh, I don't watch TV in German because I don't like German TV, or rather, he only watches like anime dubs and whatnot." And I was like, "You can't not like all German TV. That's not one thing." And he's like, "Yeah, you're probably right, but I haven't really looked into it." And then a couple days later, he was like, "I finally found a German show that I really like." And I was like, "Oh, cool. What is it?" And he's like, "It's this procedural crime drama." And I'm like, there's a lot of German TV shows like that. In fact, one of the longest running German TV shows, Tatort, is just like a decades long procedural crime drama that is very, very famous in a lot of German speaking parts of the world. And so like, I think that's a good example of, he was sort of blocked on that. He was like, "I just don't like German TV. I don't like German media. I can't use it to learn." And I sort of just basically said to him, "I don't believe you. I don't think that's true." And he's like, "Maybe you're right. Maybe, probably not." And then he looked into it and actually found some stuff that he liked. And so if you're sort of feeling like that with anything in your language, I recommend that you just give it a shot. Try something else. And so, yeah, I wanted to say I thank you very much for watching. If you are interested in following along with my German journey, this January I'm going to be continuing my habits and everything. You can get the Refold app. There's instructions in the description below, probably in the pinned comment as well, on how you can download it right now. It's not 100% on the App Store. You can't just search for it quite yet, but it's very easy to download. So just check the description and get on it, because we're really excited to see so many people tracking and making progress in their language in 2025. I will see you out there on the tracking leaderboards. I think we call them the leaderboards. But other than that, have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, happy immersing. I'm here to drop some knowledge, listen up with your ears. I got a language learning method, gonna make it crystal clear. It's called Refold, the game changer, gonna blow your mind. Immerse yourself in media, fluency you will find. Little challenge that I'm doing with my friend Mr. Salsa. I want to say Mr. Salsa. It's been in development and testing for so long time.